Let's get baking. Despite the fact that I feel an immense amount of sadness, one of my goals for 2026 is showing up for myself, so we're going to bake. I have my handy dandy recipe notebook. Today is January 27th, 2026, Tuesday, number 17 of things that I have made this year. Today we're making candied sweet potato cinnamon rolls. Now, typically I would show you all of the ingredients, but it is a very, very long recipe and it takes a very long time. It takes almost 3.5 hours to make and it has a lot of ingredients. So I am just going to read you what the ingredients are verbally. So I have the recipe here in front of me, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. We are making candied sweet potato cinnamon rolls. For the dough, you're going to need 2 medium sweet potatoes, 1 whole cup of milk, half a cup of dark brown sugar, 1 packet of dry active yeast or 2.25 teaspoons, 4 cups of all-purpose flour, half a cup of unsalted butter, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, vegetable oil for greasing. For the filling, you're going to need 1.5 cups of marshmallow fluff, half a cup of unsalted softened butter, which is 1 stick, 1 cup of finely chopped toasted pecans, and 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. And for the assembly and glaze, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter softened, all-purpose flour for dusting, half a cup of mini marshmallows, half a cup of dark brown sugar packed, 1/4 cup of heavy cream, 1 cup of confectioner's sugar, and 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. So I am not a professional chef, pastry chef, nor am I a nutritionist. I'm just a girl in her moo who cooks and bakes every week for her husband, so you can learn how to cook and or bake, change up your meals or baking for the week, or just give you something positive to watch. There is no fancy lighting, no fancy editing, and no fancy makeup. Just me showing you the things that I'm passionate about, which is cooking and baking, my weight loss journey, and crafting. For short form content, you can find it on my TikTok and Lemonade as Many Moving Mountains. For long form content, including my exercises, you can find them on my YouTube channel, which is Minnie Salvant. And for my written recipes for my baking as well as my savory meals, it's found on my website, www.minniemeals.com. So let's get baking together let's move mountains together and let's get baking. I'm going to turn around the camera so we can focus on the things that you came here for, which is the food. So let's go ahead and start baking. First, you're going to wet a sweet potato. And remember, we have 2. It is very important that you wet them before you poke the holes in them, because if not, the skin will burn when in the microwave. You're going to puncture holes all over the sweet potato, front and back, both sweet potatoes. Place into your microwave and cook for 8 minutes. For your stand mixer, you're going to fit it with a dough hook. To your mixing bowl, you're going to add 1 cup of milk, half a cup of packed brown sugar, 2.25 teaspoon of dry active yeast. Mix. Let the yeast activate for 10 minutes. Once sweet potatoes have cooked, you're going to let them sit for 10 minutes. If they're still hard, then go ahead and pop them in the microwave again for another 2-minute increments. Once sweet potatoes have cooled, you're going to slice them lengthwise and scoop out the flesh. Mash with a fork until smooth. Once your yeast has activated for 10 minutes, you're going to add your sweet potato to the bowl. I'm going to do this off camera so I can use an offset spatula. Add flour. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mix for 10 minutes. Once dough has mixed for 10 minutes, you're going to add 1 stick of butter. You're going to notice that the dough separates a little bit with the butter, but then it will form back together. If it's too sticky, add half a cup to 1 cup of flour. Mix for 10 minutes. While dough mixes, add 1 teaspoon of salt. Dough should look like this. You should be able to touch it and it not stick to your fingers. Remove dough and form into a ball. To your mixing bowl, you're going to add a drizzle of neutral oil. This is olive. Spread the oil around, evenly coating the bowl. Add dough back to the mixing bowl. Cover. Let rise for 1 hour. This is part 2 of making our candied pecan cinnamon rolls. I have 1 cup of pecans and we're going to finely chop these. To a bowl, you're going to add 1 container of marshmallow fluff. I'm going to do this off camera so I can use an offset spatula. Add half a cup or 1 stick of softened butter and add your pecans to your mixture. I'm going to do this off camera so I don't make a mess. Mix well. It's very difficult, so do the best that you can, but mix well. And add half a teaspoon of salt. Mix well, and it should look like this. Spray a large baking dish with cooking spray. Once dough has risen for 1 hour, you're going to punch out the air. And then you're going to roll this out to a large rectangle. I'm doing this one-handed, so I do have to do this off camera. I'm doing it on a silk mat, but of course you can do it. If you don't have a silk mat, you flour a surface. Stretch the dough as far as you can without breaking a hole through it. Using an offset spatula, you're going to add your filling and spread evenly. I like to pre-cut my dough with the filling so it's easier to roll, but of course you can do it as a log and just cut slices. I'm doing this one-handed and I will have to do this off camera, but you're just going to bring the dough on top of each other and then roll into cinnamon rolls. Once the cinnamon rolls have doubled in size after 1 hour, you're going to put them in the oven at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. I am going to do this off camera because it's a heavy tray and I don't want to drop it and make a mess. Here's them in the oven. Bake for 15 minutes. After they have cooked for 15 minutes, you're supposed to take them out and add more marshmallows on the top. But mine have exceeded the tray, so we're not going to do that. We're just going to continue cooking them for 10 more minutes. Cook for another 10 minutes. Rolls are done. Now, there would be a glaze that goes on top of it, which is 1/4 cup of heavy cream, 1/8 cup of brown sugar, and half a cup of powdered sugar, as well as 2 tablespoons of vanilla. But I think it has everything that it needs. So let this cool and enjoy.